As you walk across an arched bridge, you look over the railing and see perfectly clear water flowing above sparkling multicolored quartz crystals, semi-precious and precious stones.
"Are you thirsty? Would you like a drink of water?"
asks Richard. You step off the bridge and scoop a handful of water out of the creek. The moment you touch it, an exhilarating feeling flows from your hand up into your arm. You experience the same effect as you drink the water, a feeling of being totally relaxed, yet fully energized and alive at the same time, as if you would never experience the need to sleep again. Seeing the look on your face, Richard says with a smile,
"We need very little sleep because our bodies are harmonized and constantly being regenerated by our crystalline surroundings, as well as by the water we drink and bathe in. We mature, but we don't age. There are people here who are hundreds and even thousands of years old."
As you head toward the portal entrance, you walk through an archway composed of diamonds and bathed in sparkling rainbows.
"In this library, anyone in the universe can access and study the records of the game,"
says Richard. "But what can you learn from us?" you say as you climb a crystal staircase leading into the main part of the library. "Earth is a mess. Clearly we don't know what we're doing."
"Recognizing what doesn't work can be just as effective as observing what does work," says Richard. "Here at this library, we have access to the entire universal databank. So we can look at any problem that arises in the game and access the best solution for solving it. We then record the problem and the solution, as well as how to prevent the problem in the first place. In this way, anyone can quickly access the highest and most positive outcome for any event. Every conceivable problem and answer exists here. And that's mainly because of every brave person like you who plays the game. We learn from your mistakes."
You certainly don't feel brave. Stupid, scared to death, and "what the hell was I thinking" have come to mind many times, but brave, not so much. You reach the top of the crystal stairway and find yourself in the midst of a hologram. Not only do you see the Milky Way galaxy, but stars and suns and entire solar systems are floating overhead. "Oh my God, I feel like I'm lifting off the floor and about to float away," you exclaim breathlessly.
"That's partly because there are crystals embedded all throughout the library,"
says Richard.
"Well, actually everything in the library is crystalline. In the same way that you have quartz crystals in your computers, all information here is held and accessed with crystals as well. This library is an interdimensional portal. It will take you wherever you project your thoughts. Whatever you intend to see, you will have a first-hand experience on any and every level."
The library appears more like an elegant park, with rainbow light glittering on the trees, flowers, streams, and waterfalls, everywhere the eye can see. Amid this stunning beauty, people are walking and talking. Some are studying or reclining in the most comfortable-looking chairs imaginable. Others have their eyes closed and are daydreaming, and quite a few are wired up and connected into the library operating system, which takes them anywhere they choose to go, without ever leaving the comfort of their reclining chair. There are small theaters throughout the library where history not only comes to life, but when you step inside, you feel as if you are actually living it, as if you are really there in that exact period of time. But more than that, you feel as if you are part of everything that has ever existed or ever will exist anywhere in the universe. Richard leads you into an alcove with one of the reclining chairs. You sit down, stretch out, and lean back luxuriously. You lay there as if you are floating without a care in the world.
The portal will not only transport you to any place in the universe, it can also answer any questions you may want to ask. But may I make a suggestion?
Says Richard supportively. Of course.
The trick to getting the most out of the portal is to ask high-quality questions.
What do you mean, you say?
Well, for instance, if you ask, why am I trapped in this experience? You would be shown a series of things that you said or did or thought that brought you to that moment of being trapped, which would only magnify the problem. Whereas, if you ask, how can I free myself from this situation? You would receive solutions rather than more problems. Now, think of the question, who am I? This question has been going round and round in the minds of players for as long as the game has been in existence, yet no one has ever found a definitive answer. But if you ask a high-quality version of that question, you would have a very different result.
You think for a moment, then confess, I can't think of a different way to ask that question.
How about, who am I when I'm not getting my way?
Says Richard, smiling broadly. You burst out laughing. Oh, I see what you mean, you say as several ideas pop into your mind in quick succession. With a warm smile, Richard says,
I will now take my leave of you.
You bounce out of your chair, hug Richard, and kiss him on the cheek. Thank you so much. I hope to see you again someday.
That would be my wish as well,
he says affectionately.
Oh, and don't forget to ask your question about Antarctica.
You smile and nod enthusiastically. You sit on the chair, lean back, and feel as if you're floating on a warm, luminous cloud of energy. But the energy feels like a part of you rather than something separate or outside of yourself. You take a deep breath. I have sort of a compass map type thing in my pocket. It shows Earth from the perspective of the North Pole, and it shows all of the continents except Antarctica. Where is it? You say, digging the compass out of your pocket. Antarctica does not exist as a separate continent. It extends all the way around Earth's playing field. It's represented on your compass by the diamonds surrounding the outer edge. You look at the compass in the palm of your hand and say, I don't understand what you mean. Antarctica is a small continent at the South Pole. Well, that's certainly what you've been taught. Maybe because you're inside the Earth, you just don't understand what it looks like from outer space, you say. But trust me, it's round, not flat. I've seen pictures. Your belief will cause you to see whatever you say is so. No, you don't understand. The Earth can't be round and flat. It's either one or the other, you say definitively. You see whatever you believe. But you're saying that Earth is flat, and I don't believe that, you say emphatically. That's why you perceive Earth as a planet rather than a plane, says the portal. But both versions exist simultaneously. I don't see how that's possible, you say skeptically. Well, you believe Earth is round. So the only way to experience both versions simultaneously is to open your imagination to see the version where Earth is flat. Taking a deep breath, you say hesitantly, Okay, how do I do that? Imagine that you and your parents were raised believing that Earth is just as stationary as it appears to be. NASA, your government, and educational system are all in agreement with the information you receive from your senses. Now imagine trying to convince people that Earth is not stationary, that it is spinning at 1,000 miles per hour and moving forward through space 32 times faster than a bullet shot from a rifle.
but no one feels anything because of gravity. At least I know gravity is real, you say confidently. Maybe in some version of reality, but in your version, gravity has never been scientifically proven to exist. And yet, its so-called magnetism is responsible for keeping everything and everyone from flying off of the planet. It's strong enough to hold people, buildings, oceans, and the atmosphere tightly stuck to the surface. Yet it's just weak enough so that birds are able to fly and smoke rises upward. Do you think you could convince the entire world that this is an established fact that doesn't require any scientific proof? When you put it that way, you say, taken aback, it sounds bizarre. But then, how do you explain all the pictures of Earth from outer space? Can you tell the difference between a real photo taken in outer space and a picture created with computer-generated imagery? Well, no, you say thoughtfully. But there are astronauts who walked on the moon. That happened for sure. How do you know that happened for sure? How do you know anything for sure? Says the portal. What would you think if you knew that all of the Apollo 11 videos and audios suddenly disappeared, and every contractor managed to mysteriously lose the prints and plans for the lunar rover, LEM lander, and Apollo ship engines? Really? I didn't know that, you say, stunned. But why would anyone pretend we had been to the moon and create fake images of Earth from outer space if it's not real? Why, indeed. What if it's all part of the fun and games you signed up for? Says the portal. What do you mean? You ask. Imagine you could create your own virtual reality game. What would you want to experience? You think for a moment and say slowly, well, first I'd want it to be 100% believable with an infinite number of choices and levels of challenges so the game would basically never end. I hate it when I find a really good game. I play for 3 days straight and then I have to wait for the next game because I already know the whole storyline, so it's boring if I play it again. Sorry, off topic, you say, laughing. I'd want to be able to choose any timeline, past, present, or future. Oh, and I'd want a vacation part. I mean, a real vacation. Not one where I'd be at a beach and have to keep an eye out for snipers. I'd want to be able to come home from school and do anything I wanted. Ride horses, go mountain climbing, visit another country, stuff like that. And I'd want a storyline that can go in any direction. You say, your imagination gathering steam. But especially things that are mysterious and intriguing. I like figuring things out. You know, things that aren't obvious where you have to do research and piece things together. Oh, and I'd want a boyfriend, you say a bit sheepishly. I know that's kind of weird, a cyber boyfriend and all. But it would be fun to have a little romance thrown in with the mayhem. So what are you experiencing now? Says the portal. Well, not the virtual reality I have in mind, that's for sure, you say, rolling your eyes. My dear, you designed the virtual reality that you're currently playing, and all the intrigue and conspiracy theories that go with it. But what about the Big Bang and evolution? I mean, people way smarter than me believe in that event, you say. Every possibility exists. But in the reality you designed, does the Big Bang make any sense? The theory begins with nothing. Then somehow there's an explosion out of nowhere, and instead of destroying things like every other explosion, this explosion somehow manages to create space, time, and all matter in an instant for no reason at all. Debris flew outward at over 670 miles per hour for 14 billion years. Then some of that debris turned into bubbling ooze, that ultimately became planet Earth. Magically, single-celled organisms appeared. Then they became multi-celled. Then conscious. Then everything multiplied, divided, mutated, adapted, evolved, and finally crawled onto land, replacing gills with lungs. Tails were lost, and then voila, opposable thumbs. You're right. It sounds crazy. It is crazy, you say in complete shock. How come people can't see this? Why does everyone believe it without question? It doesn't matter, says the portal. It's part of what you designed. Okay, look, here's the problem, you say, suddenly worried about what's to come. When I get back to the base, I don't know what I'm going to do. These are real people, and they're unbelievably powerful. Certainly, all of those powerful players would be delighted to know that you think that way. But the truth is that every person playing has equal power. Those in authority have no more power than you, unless you choose to give your power away by believing you have no power. The prime directive is, "Thy will be done." If you feel and believe, "I'm trapped, there's nothing I can do," the program is designed to give you more experiences that confirm what you believe. You shake your head. I understand what you're saying, but I don't think I can do it. I don't think I can make myself feel differently than I do. You are now recognizing that two seemingly separate realities can exist at the same time. So, can you understand that reality is flexible, that it moves according to your focus and beliefs? You nod your head, but if you're being perfectly honest, you'd have to admit that you aren't sure who the portal is, where it came from, or if it's telling the truth. And from that perspective, you also wonder whether or not the inner earth is part of your own game, if the game exists at all. But that is just one more distraction. The only thing you know for sure is that you need to get back to the base.